So we have some thoughts on the Yu Yu Hakusho live action. It's pretty good. It did not offend me, did not make me want to kill myself. You had some choice words to say about the Cowboy Bebop live action.
It certainly made me want to kill myself.
This is not that. This is decent. It has some flaws, but most of the flaws come down to being only 5 episodes long and adapting an over
way too
100 episode anime. Like, what were they expecting?
Yeah, in like 5 50-minute episodes, and they like tried to adapt like half the story of like 100-episode anime.
What surprises me though is the pacing initially is really good. Like, we don't really miss any of the beginning story beats of like, it's a cold open.
That's what's wild. Like, it kind of has the beginning and like the ending of the Dark Tournament. Like, as well as the rescue Yukina.
It's just the middle that's gone. Like, all the build-up and necessary building blocks are removed from the plot. Or very expedited. Yeah. Which is fine if you already watched the anime. Because you kind of know what was supposed to be there and is missing.
You know what was supposed to happen.
Otherwise, this is just an advertisement to go watch the anime if you've not seen Yu Hakusho before.
It's a big advertisement for the anime. Yeah, totally. I completely agree. That said, what it has isn't that bad. Like, the action scenes, honestly pretty good. Like, surprisingly good.
I didn't like the first fight with, like, the guy possessed by the bug, but in episode 2, when they fought Goki, no, that was hype. Like, the red demon ogre.
Yeah, that was sick.
That was, like, for the most part, this live action's adding things that weren't in the anime versus subtracting.
But they expanded on it. And they like made it this cool like junkyard like scrap where like Goki's like throwing all these fucking vehicles around and like throwing cars and stuff. And Yusuke has to figure out how to like use his like. There's some really cool shots of Yusuke like using the environment to like dodge through the cars as Goki's like thrashing them. Like, it's really cool actually. It's very well thought out and choreographed.
Every other fight basically is cut, aside from the eventual fights with...
the Dark Tournament.
Yeah, the Dark Tournament. But it's only Toguro's team that they fight.
Yeah, they skip every other one other than, like, Toguro's team. So it's just like suddenly Bui and Karasu are there, and you're like, oh, hey. It's like, actors were also, like, pretty fitting, and, like, they work.
Yeah, the casting?
Like, I think the casting was very good. I think this should have been longer. Like, this should have been 10 episodes at least.
I think 10 episodes is, like, not too long. Like, they're not doing the pacing in the anime again. They're using their good writing to...
Yeah, no, they're telling a new story.
It's, like, clever, like, how they're speeding things up. Like, they're connecting plot lines. Like, Hiei is trying to rescue his sister from the get-go, and that's how they, like, already speeding things up.
Yeah, no, that actually makes sense for narrative, like...
It makes perfect sense, right?
Compunction, yes, it does.
When it doesn't work is when episode 3, Genkai is introduced, who's the mentor of Yusuke. And in the same episode she's introduced, she's also killed off. Like, you just ruined a lot of build-up, and the emotional stuff is not, like, paying off at all anymore.
Yeah, no, it's like you introduce Genkai in episode 3, and then you kill her off in the same episode, and it's like... like, it's like, that doesn't quite work.
That's the most egregious thing, I think, in this.
No, you know what? I agree. Yeah, I think that was the most egregious. But it's like, because it's like Genkai and because of her impact in the story, it hurts. It's like, no, you shouldn't have done that, maybe.
Let's just dive right into all of those, like Karasu versus Kurama.
Yeah, Karasu versus Kurama, Hiei versus Bui. The whole team versus Toguro, which is a change, but
yeah, that was a sick addition. That was that's worth watching alone. If you don't want to watch like the whole show because it's just Yu Hakusho advertisement.
It is, yeah.
The younger Toguro fight was at least really cool because you got Hiei and Kurama. They're in weakened states because they just had finished their fights, but they also joined Yusuke to fight younger Toguro, and it was just a cool addition.
That was a really neat change. I think of all the changes, I think that was the coolest one.
And if the show was 10 episodes, we could have had them fighting together like that in Union, like, for most of the show, Instead.
Here's the big thing. I wanted more of their whole team, because I feel that's, like, very key to Yu Yu Hakusho. I think they should have had more team, like, contact and interaction. And it's like, again, if it had 10 episodes, we would have gotten a lot more of that.
There was some good banter, but there wasn't much banter.
Right. It's just like, we just needed more.
And, like, when in the Dark Tournament, you had the entire team spectating and, like, rooting each other on, or, like, getting, like, shocked when, like, they take an L.
Or, like, getting emotional for each other. Like, when Kuwabara gets, like, super emotional, like, when he thinks he's about to die, and he, like, just fucking tells them, he's like, I actually really like all of you.
Yeah.
He's like, that's one of the biggest moments of the tournament for me. Like, when he's like, yeah, even though I didn't know you that well, like, I know you're a good guy deep down. And it's like, such a good moment.
But with the writing in this show, that only happens in the last fight with younger Toguro. Like, everything emotional was pushed onto one fight, which makes sense as the climax, but...
It's a good fight, too. Like, the action's pretty good. Yeah, no, the emotion... Like, we need more team bonding. That's, like, how I would describe it. Like, overall, I think this is a very good ad for the anime. Like, I just kept thinking of the anime while watching.
Like, there was a whole Elder Toguro versus Kuwabara, and the effects were pretty good for Elder Toguro because the production committee, Robot Communications, did the Parasite live action. Like, these effects are their specialty, like the body amorphism and stuff like that. They're particularly good at those effects, which is why I think they even took this live action, because they're like, oh, Elder Toguro and Younger Toguro, that's perfect for our effects department.
Yes,
but
no, I did feel some Parasite vibes. Whatever Elder Toguro was doing his shit, yeah.
But they didn't even, like, finish the fight. Like, Kuwabara just runs away. Understandably.
Also, Kuwabara forgot that he could use his spirit sword, seemingly, for, like, most of the entire show. It's like, all right, I learned this, and then he completely forgot about it for, like...
I mean, Kuwabara was the weakest link in the anime, too, during the Dark Tournament, but, like, even in the live action, he's, like, even weaker somehow. I don't even know. They really did him dirty.
It's weird. They did Kuwabara a bit dirty, yeah. Oh, on that note, I did like that Keiko and Yukina got those, like, scenes together, and, like, their bonding, like, was actually pretty nice. Like, it's like, because they do bond during the Dark Tournament arc, but, like, until then, like, Yukina and Keiko have no interactions. Yeah, so it was kind of neat to see Keiko and Yukina. Like, I have to say, for the adaptation, I think that was pretty neat. As, like, the adaptation, like, changing stuff.
It did cut out Kuwabara's sister entirely. Sad.
Yes, they did. Although, thankfully, they did cut out the romance between her and Sakio.
But that's also, like, worth cutting her out entirely. Just so they do that. Yeah, Sakio's really a good villain in this live action, though. Like, he really gave off the presence that, like, he has absolutely nothing good going for him.
Yes. He just wants to cause chaos and destruction. Like, that's what he's here for. Yeah, no, his vibe was pretty good. That's what I'd say. Pretty good.
I think some of the scenes of Yusuke, like, realizing his strength and, you know, giving a beat down to some of younger Togoro's weaker forms were also just hype as well.
I agree.
I feel like the last part where he's charging up the spear gun for the final shot.
Like in the Dark Tournament arc.
Yeah, like in the Dark Tournament. I do think that came a little bit too soon. Like, I wanted, like, at least, not much more, but, like, I don't know, 2 solid more minutes, you know? That's how I like the fight. I just wish
but I'm like, again, this is an advertisement for the show, and in the show you get that. It's like the thing.
Yeah.
But I'm like, yeah, no, I did want more as well. But it's like, when I consider this show's purpose, I'm like, right, it's because you want to see that moment in the anime. And in the anime, we get that. I guess that's the big thing. Like, that moment in the anime will forever be iconic to me. Of, like, him, like, catching, like, the spirit, like, wave and, like, crushing it, but then falling to pieces, like, minutes later. Like, that's just Yu Yu Hakusho to me, you know? But the show is, like, the abridged version of this. Like, again, also actually with the Bui fight as well. Similar thing, or like the big moment in the Bui fight is using Dragon of the Darkness Flame and it hitting Bui and Bui reflecting it back at Hiei. But that didn't happen in the show. He just lost to Dragon of the Darkness Flame.
In a pretty brutal fashion in comparison.
That was pretty brutal, actually. Yeah, no, he did get fucking roasted. But, you know what I mean? I'm like, the moment was Bui throwing the dragon back at him.
This live action does not play around with how damaging fire is. I was surprised. That one punk kid, a friend of Kuwabara, had some serious scars. It's they're not joking around with this. This is not some anime comedy or I got set on fire. No, it's oh shit, I got set on fire. And Bui really felt that the most, I feel, out of anyone.
Oh, he got her fucking roasted. Yeah. But still, I get it. My thing is with the whole spirit gun thing is that I'm it's the Dragon of the Darkness Flame thing where it's when he reflects it, or when Karasu reveals his final form and he's stronger than Yoko Kurama, or Elder Togoro's I'm invincible basically. It's we didn't have enough time for that because I'm again, if we had 10 episodes, I think we could have built up to this, Maybe if we had another fight with Team Masho or something somehow, that could have been
sure.
No.
That's the only thing left after watching this is now I just want to rewatch the anime. And I feel
I do really want to rewatch the anime.
The most common sentiment after this.
There are just so many anime moments that I want to see again. Now that I've been all right, yeah, no, that was the thing that I can't even tell you how much right now I want to rewatch Kurama versus Karasu as a fight, or Hiei versus Bui, or Yusuke versus Toguro. I'm the show has built me up to want to see these things again.
No, they did have a good resolution. They kept the whole younger Toguro in the spirit world meeting Genkai and having a final conversation.
It did have a good
and it looks pretty good.
That was a good resolution. So it's the story, as abridged as it is, it does kind of tell its own story. Right. This is the end of Hakusho, or this story path that we've taken, as abridged as it is. It's Toguro and Genkai meeting each other in spirit world.
Before we wrap this up, I have a correction to make. I made a community post saying that territory was territory-inspired domain expansion in Jujutsu Kaisen, the territory the human psychics had in the Chapter Black arc. I was wrong. I've read more Togashi interviews since then, and territory was inspired by JoJo Bizarre Adventure stands. So,
yep.
Did
you not know that?
I mean, it's obvious when you think about it, but I don't think I knew that.
I haven't even watched much of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and I fucking knew that, just so you know.
But domain expansion was, I think, in the manga originally translated as territory expansion, so, I mean, it's influenced by JoJo and Yu Hakusho, obviously.
Yeah, definitely.
Everyone just steals from Araki. That's the correction I wanted to make.
Yeah.
And on that note of Jujutsu Kaisen, I want to leave off on a bold prediction so I can tell the internet I told you so later. But I'm not too optimistic the Yu Hakusho live action is going to get a season 2. I mean, it's possible, can do more with this cast, but I'm not sure they're too interested in doing that considering how rushed this 5 episodes was to even do more. I think this was a test run. How well can Robot Communications adapt a mainstay Shonen Jump series? And what they're going to do is say, hey, look how good our effects are for Elder Toguro, Younger Toguro. We did Parasite. We did all these special effects. Give us the Jujutsu Kaisen live action. We're going to make Maito look menacing. That's my prediction. Jujutsu Kaisen's hype as hell right now. It would make the most bang for their buck. That's what they're aiming for. That's my prediction. No season 2 of Yu Hakusho live action. Jumping straight into Jujutsu Kaisen. I know.
I concur.
Let it out, sigh. But that's probably what's going to happen. That's the world we live in.